Saturday mornings were fun, especially when you had a studio programme to look forward to every time you got up, and none was more popular and iconic than CBBC's Dick and Dom in the Bungalow, which defined an entire generation with its gross-up humour, wacky scenarios and memorable characters. It's no wonder it's still fondly remembered to this day. Too bad that's not what I'm going to be talking about. Instead, over on a few other channels, there was another studio-based program which had a similar premise, but structured in a completely different format. And that program was this. Ross Lee's Ghoulies. Broadcasting on Nickelodeon every Saturday morning from the 28th of September to the 13th of December in 2008, the show followed the bizarre adventures of Ross Lee, an entertainer who was known for the CBBC show Shoot, another obscure gem which lasted for one series, where he played a caricature of himself trapped in the BBC's rubbish chip, doing nothing but watching videos all day.
Sign from above.
Living the dream right there. But going back to Ghoulies, Ross brings the same peculiar yet magnetic energy from Shoot and takes it to a whole new level with this. Every episode had a 2-hour structure, with a new episode of SpongeBob and iCarly fitted in between each sketch. Every episode would start with Ross arriving to the filthy manor in a ghost train, because if you're going to introduce a show, do it in style. While interacting with his headless butler Tarquin, his pet head in a cage Mr. Budgie, and his best friend Armpit. A talking armpit. How and why, I don't know, make up a story yourself, you know you want to, you sicko. After introducing the show and starting the storyline that he will participate in, at the same time as the introduction, Ross will get into a scenario that he needs to get out of before the end of the show. This could be trying to pay off a loan shark, giving Armpit a birthday party, trying to get a girlfriend, stopping a thief from stealing his identity, raising a baby, and hosting the talent show. After starting the storyline, he would lead into the first sketch, Grim Tales, where Ross plays a storyteller telling short stories which always had a grim result in the end.
I went all over the back seat. How grim is it?
After those vile tales, Ross would introduce Caught by the Ghoulies, a hidden camera prank show where he would scare an unexpected member of the public after being informed about them by a child guest star. Ross would then turn on the TV with a green-skinned dwarf
Come on.
Yeah, like I said, this show was weird, and play an episode of his favourite soap opera, EastEnders, starring Ross as a different character, who are all parodies of well-known EastEnders characters. And you probably notice the pattern of Ross playing a different character each time he does a sketch, which I personally think is impressive. Really gives a new meaning to the term, if you want something done right, do it yourself. Halfway through the programme, a guest star would join Ross in an unusual activity, which, as you guessed it, plays a different character ranging from a sadistic dentist, a phony fortune teller, and an eccentric teacher. Most of the guest stars he had were usually soap opera actors, or, C-list singers. However, he did have Dermot O'Leary in an X Factor parody, and even had the pop band group The Saturdays on it, not once, but twice. This was before they were a big name. Oh, and he even had Sharon Osbourne on it, because while each sketch did bring entertainment value, I can't say the same for what is personally the weakest part of the programme, Stephen Freak,
Do you like me? I like you.
who spends his days sticking this stuff on his face, and that's pretty much it. Even I didn't find this one enjoyable. I think they just wanted to fill out the 2-hour runtime. Nearing the end of the show, the last 2 sketches shown were Monster Mind, a Mastermind parody which featured Ross as Noel Edmonds. Yeah, I know. with a contestant following the rules of the original quiz show, with the only major difference being the contestant being slimed whenever they got the answer wrong. And another sketch featuring an animated short starring 2 characters called Blood and Guts. At the end of the show, the storyline that Ross was taking part in is wrapped up, usually ending with a musical number.
Tell me in the form of a song, Ross.
I will. It's quite simple. Open your ears, open your eyes, and take heed. If it ain't broke, then why should you fix it? You'll only make a mess. Like a broken biscuit, you may not like your face, but do not cry and whine. It's really not a job for Frankenstein.
And all is well until next week. So, with that said, how come this only lasted for 4 months? Wasn't it getting enough views? Not enough budget? Even though it looks like something that could have been done without budget. Was it intentional and Ross didn't want to do another season? Did the armpit go off? Well, unfortunately, I couldn't find a clear answer. I do have a few theories. They're not very interesting. It's just things I mentioned before, but I think what killed the show is no one watched it for Ross and his Ghoulies. As I mentioned before, between the programme slots there was new episodes of both SpongeBob and iCarly, and they were pretty popular back in the day. And I think most viewers only turned in for those shows and didn't bother watching the rest. For a while there were short reruns, but with shorter running times, taking up an hour with all the SpongeBob and iCarly stuff cut out. But after a while the show stopped airing and it faded into obscurity, just another victim of the shadow realm of television. So, what happened to Ross Lee himself? He moved over to BBC Three for a series called The Pranker, a hidden camera show where it pranks members of the public. That sounds familiar, doesn't it? And again, it only lasted for 1 series. I'm noticing a bit of a pattern here. So, what's my final thoughts on this gothic Tim Burton style freak show? I still find enjoyment from it. Of course, it's clearly for a certain type of audience, and some parts are more annoying than entertaining. But if you fancy something strange and unusual, give it a go. If you can find it, trust me, there's hardly any full episodes anywhere. The best I could do was find random clips online, and that was only thanks to the Lost Media wiki. I was surprised I could even find anything. Well, if there is still footage out there, I hope one day we will have another visit to the filthy manor and the eccentric weirdos that live there.
Thanks, freak!
Except Steam Freak, he can stay in the bin.